All right, so it's another episode of The Blamed and Branded at Society's Scapegoat. I'm just checking it out, this shirt. Okay, so I've been talking about the carnivore diet and all this stuff and all the good it's provided, okay? So this is one of the shirts that I used to wear, and it's a big shirt. I'm a big guy. I'm never gonna be not a big guy, but this shirt didn't fit me. It didn't fit me at all. But like now when you look at me, okay, so I actually have a shirt that's smaller than this, but I'm refusing to even try it on until I get to the 1 year mark. And then at the 1 year mark, I'm gonna look and see if I'm at the weight I was basically 15 years ago when I was doing 4 hours of working out every day, 6 days a week, and hating my life. I used to do Muay Thai and then go to the gym for 2 to 3 hours and hired a nutritionist, everything else, and they couldn't get me down. They could not figure out what the fuck was wrong with me. Doctors, everything else. But here I am, and I look over here because I got my screen on so I can see, what's going on, what I'm doing. I'm not sure if this is too loud or not, but I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit, just in case. So anyways, it's been weirding me out to see myself. I shaved each side of my cheek down here after, I want to say about a month or two, because I had the beard and I'm like, oh my God, my cheekbones are sticking out and all this shit. Anyways, that's why I was caught off guard when I came in and I looked over. So, episode, 3, Blamed and Branded. I'm gonna have a seat here. This is brought to you by Bumbu Rum. It's pretty much the best shit you could ever fucking have. I'm not actually a spokesmodel for them or anything, and I don't know if my video is gonna get banned from fucking YouTube or not, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. This motherfucking shit costs so fucking much money, out here anyways. And I'm not a big, I don't drink as much alcohol as I used to, way back. So all the people who used to know me and they go oh my God, what a fucking lying piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, I'm not a lying piece of shit anymore. I never was. I'm gonna turn this camera down a little bit. I never was. It's just that I know I used to drink a lot. I know that my system used to be able to handle it, but now I'm I don't know, I'm like a white girl wasted type of guy if I have too much. It's just what it is, which is good because it saves me a fuck ton of money. But anyways, this stuff has 0 fucking carbohydrates in it, and which is great when you're on carnivore. But the taste, I've never, ever, ever had a better tasting dark rum. And I'm a dark rum guy, not a white rum guy. Not spiced rum's good. Spiced rum's pretty good, but I like dark rum. To me, this is called a dark rum, but it tastes like a spiced rum, but with that more, dark hint to it, But anyways, I've got my pre-mix in there for the show, Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, and I mix mostly with water, and I just do a splash in these big glasses. But anyways, yeah, so it's one of those fucking nights, I guess. I've always been a little bit, I need a little bit of courage, liquid courage to go on and say shit. But just, if you're like a rum drinker, and I'm a vodka drinker, I love vodka. Vodka is my shit, but vodka is just vodka, you know what I mean? This is for special occasions, and I'm not sure what's so special. Maybe it's just, I'm happy to be home. I've been sleeping for 3 fucking days straight. I can't stop sleeping, which is kind of crazy. And I was asking my mom about it because she lives in the same place here. And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with me? And she said, same thing happened last time. But what's weird is when I travel and I fucking go from here to Ontario, I'm just so stoked to work. Like, I'm just so like, okay, I'm in work mode, I guess, you know, like get there, get this done, get everything set up, fucking contact the first client, make sure, you know, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, since I've been home, man, it's been like, I'm a fucking zombie. So today was the first day I woke up I don't even know how many hours I slept in the past 3 days. Like, it's insane. It's gotta be well over 24 hours, probably 30 or 40 hours in 3 fucking days, which is insane. But I woke up, had a ton of energy, did a workout, tried to bring my dog for a walk, all this shit. Anyways, let's get into the show. That's how good this night's been for me. Anyways, okay, so tattooing. Oh, tattooing. Like I mentioned before, tattooing. I'm gonna always open up with talking about something good, something bad, something mixed, whatever, of tattooing, so that anybody who's following this, after I'm done talking about it, they can go on and, you know, not like my political views, whatever, but at least maybe, you know, I can help them with something to do with the industry. So today on the tattooing thing, last time I brought up this stuff, contact, and basically I want to just talk about the equipment that I use and the products I buy and why. So I'm just going to kind of look around because I got my private studio here, and just kind of like throw things out there. And like, I don't have a script today. Usually I write down a few things to keep me in line, but today I'm just going to wing it because I think there's so much to talk about with the tattooing and whatever. So anyways, let's go with inks. So the inks that I use specifically are solid. Well, the number one ink I use is Eternal. If you're lucky and you live in the U.S., then you get to order straight from factory. They're fucking amazing there. Their inks are top notch. Never had a problem with them. I use, like for black and gray, I use their actual grays. What are they called? Like they're actual gray. They're not gray wash. Gray wash is done. Like I know that there's great gray wash artists out there. I see their work. It's fucking beautiful. I tip my hat to them. I think they're great fucking artists, but at the same time, gray wash does not hold up. It does not hold up over time. It always needs to be touched up, no matter what. About 3 years into my career, after learning how to do gray wash, so we're talking about 2001, that's when I decided to start mixing my own bottles back then. So I was using, oh man, back then, it would have been Kurosumi Black, I want to say, and Unique White. So anyways, I would mix those bottles until I had 4 or 5 different levels of gray. And I just find, like I found then and I find now, that when you saturate skin and make sure that everything is at the same level, you can still gray wash out of that. You can still, you know, dip your needle in water, distilled water or sterilized water if you want, and literally have a contrast. But the thing is, you can do that with solid ink, because everybody who works with color has to make sure that every level of transition from, let's just say you're doing like a dark red into a yellow, you know, like for a flame, whatever. So you're gonna go from your black and your red, or your black and your dark red and your medium red into your orange red into a bright orange, your bright orange into a yellow orange, then your yellow orange into a yellow, okay? So all of these are overlap. So where you would do a gray wash normally, okay, you would take your movement and you would speed it up and you would pull the needle out of the skin a little bit while you're making your movement, which is normally, I like either a figure eight, a back and forth, or a circle. That's a whole other topic, but either way, you're still gradually fading it out. And then what you do is you take your next color and you go to where your thick color was, so where your dark red, let's say, was becoming like a gradient of red, and now you start there and you work your medium red in or whatever, and then you get this perfect saturation. But if you do that with all your black and grays, it's the same fucking thing. So I guess we'll touch on that later, but that's, I guess, good knowledge to know. And I'm 3 sheets to the wind right now, and I don't give a shit. So, but I use Eternal's gray set, like no wash, never mind wash sucks. I use their whatever it's called, I don't know, I don't have it here, it's still packed in my bag. I get up and look, but I know it's not there. Anyways, opaque. So you use the opaque gray set, and then you do your gradients from there. And then, if you want, you can add drops of white or drops of black to that and make, 4 or 5 different gradients. But honestly, with the 4 different gradients and a white, so you can dip in your black or dip in a dark gray or a medium gray, and then you just hit your white for 1 second and you go in. And now I'm a whole off topic. The reason why I use the Eternal Gray though is because I was using Fusion. Fusion came out with the opaque Fusion set before that, which I was like, okay, sweet. I don't have to mix all this shit myself anymore. Well, Fusion, when you buy Fusion ink, it's great ink. I still use some Fusion colors, not a lot of them. But the reason I stopped with Fusion is that I find that every ink company out there, you might get a bottle of something you purchased before. Well, I find that Eternal and Solid are the 2 companies that when you order a color, it's the closest to the color you were already using. Whereas Fusion, I've got Fusion bottles, man, where it was just like so off. And I know there's other ink companies out there that I'm not even touching on, because once you get a good ink and you know that it's healing and you know that it's consistent when you get them, more and more consistent, dialed into the original color that you already got, you really don't want to stray from them. I know there's a lot of artists out there that have the opportunity to work in like a walk-in studio where there's several artists. So these artists all have their own inks, and for whatever reason they choose them. Well, then they get to try them out. So a lot of those artists get to dial it even further if they, you know what I mean, if they're smart, not fucking stupid, just buying whatever fucking ink is on sale. But they would have the opportunity to know what the best of the best is. Well, like, I've been working for myself for a long time, but even before that, I've used Intense Ink and other different ink brands. And over the years, even with the guys that used to work at the shop, we all kind of dialed them in. But when Eternal came out, it was just such great ink, where it was like, oh my God, you buy a bottle and then you got the new bottle and you're shaking it up and you're putting them side by side, and they're almost identical. That and what I don't like about Eternal is they do sell some inks in special sets. You can think of this as a bad thing where it's like, fuck, I bought this set and it pisses me off because 3 of these goddamn inks are the same fucking inks. you know what? Like, I have a lot to say about this, so I'm going to just keep going with the ink thing. And then maybe on the next episode, we'll talk about the equipment while I use it, because I'm kind of like going down this whole road of this. So yeah, I'm gonna label this one about inks and why I use them. So anyways, I need a drink. We're gonna top this one up. I know I don't need a drink. Obviously, you guys are probably like, holy shit, man, third episode, this one's the good one. This one's the one where maybe he'll puke or something. That doesn't happen like ever. Alright, so anyways, when you're buying Eternal ink, and probably other ink sets, but I'm not sure, because at one point in time before I actually moved to Alberta, Eternal was having this wicked sale. So I decided that I would buy every single bottle of every single ink they produce direct from them. And this is how wicked of a company they are. You cannot buy every single bottle in Canada. You just can't. Which will get me into the Canada U.S. fucking thing in a bit. Not even over that, but just the way things are. But Eternal ink, when you buy from them, they have to send it, across the border, then they might hold it and whatever, okay? Well, I had to buy it during the winter because it was a huge sale at the end of the year, and I wanted to take advantage of it when I was living in Ontario before I came out to Alberta, because I know in Alberta, shipping is a fucking nightmare. It's brutal out here. No matter what you order, it's fucking insane. So I was like, okay, before I leave, I've got to order all these inks. So I spent $2,000 or $3,000 to top up all the inks that I had. Plus, I wanted to try every single bottle of every single limited edition pack or whatever that they made. And then when it comes in, though, it has there's colors that are so identical to other colors, but they sell them by different names, which I was actually mad about at first. I was like, motherfucker, man, like I paid all this fucking money, da 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 da. But in actuality, what's really cool about it is that if there's a color that's so close to the other color, then when you go to order from, whether you're ordering direct from Eternal or from your supplier, and they're out, if you type in another color, it will come up. And I've been doing that with Solid, because the last time I opened up a studio, I opened up 5 City, Canada's first tattoo bar, and I decided to buy the entire set of Solid, because the Solid colors that I use, I know they were like spectacular. They healed great. When I ordered them, they would come in, and that was before I was using Eternal. But I just found that Eternal had more of a selection. So that's why I kind of switched over to them during that time. But then I seen Solid came out with more. Anyways, so what I've done is I've compiled a list of colors, like in my iPhone or whatever, and I'll write on the bottles what the other color is. So for instance, if I ran out of, I don't even know what I can name right now, because some of them, like some of the Solid or Eternal colors actually have more than one name. Now, I don't know if, in their computer they know that. I'm not sure. All I know is it's great to have a backup, but then there's Solid colors that will work just as well, and they're the exact same color. You shake up the bottles, you put them side by side, you can't tell the difference. So the past few years, I've been compiling a list so that when I run out of a bottle of whatever, I don't know, like I'm pretty sure one of them is deep red, and deep red, I want to say, I'm not sure if it actually is, but deep red is one of the zombie colors too. I'm not sure which one. It might be undead red, I'm not sure. And then there's a Solid color that's the same fucking red. So basically what happens is I'll always go for the first color, like whatever color I just ran out of, okay? So I'll look that up and I'll see that color. Let's just say that I got all of those colors correct and it says undead red. So I look it up and I go to order from Icon or whatever. I ordered from Icon, I ordered from FYT, and there's one or two other places. But basically, those are the places that I like to order from in Canada here. And I'll look it up and I'll put it in, like I want to buy a 1 ounce or a 2 ounce, whatever, and it says it's out of stock. Okay, so all I have to do is type in undead red in my iPad or my notes. Basically, I keep it in my notes, and undead red will pull up because it's like, oh, here's your note. So it pulls up my ink chart, and then I scroll down and it'll tell me the other colors that it is. So it literally saves you because chances are they're gonna have one out of those three if they're carrying that other color. Now I'd love to do that with Fusion. I would. I do carry a few Fusion colors. I just find Fusion is very watery, and it's just super inconsistent. Like it started with the opaque set because Eternal wasn't making one at the time, at least one that I didn't know about or that I knew about, and it was just so inconsistent that I was like, okay, I'll buy these colors because these colors are so distinct from Eternal colors and solid colors. They've got a few of them. I think I use maybe 3 or 4 from working at conventions, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is that color, you know? My buddy's like, oh, you know, check it out, try it out. And when I was there, I was like, I gotta order this, like, because I've bought every single fucking Eternal color, and this is not one of their colors. And I know a lot of you guys are starting to mix, which is fine. The thing about me is that a long time ago, I decided that I want to save my customers money. And I know a lot of tattoo artists just don't want that. I've heard of tattoo artists telling their apprentices to start smoking because you get charged for smoke breaks. A lot of tattoo artists won't use electric chairs. I use an electric chair, and the reason I use an electric chair is because I'm charging somebody a ton of fucking money that I shouldn't have to get up and pump the fucking thing up and get them to sit up, to move their fucking arm and everything else. There's so many little fucking things that tattoo artists do to rip the fucking customer off. Whereas other tattoo artists, where it's like, okay, well, I gotta mix all this ink. Okay, well, if your artist is pouring ink out at a convention because they only wanted to bring like 20, 25 bottles, that's okay. That's normal, you know? But a lot of conventions now are starting to have ink walls, like an ink stage where you can just go and grab some, test out the ink and shit. The last time I went anyways. So that speeds shit up. So an artist should always have that mapped out ahead of time. What colors they're gonna use and why they're gonna use them. And if they're fucking mixing it on the fly in their studio, why would you just not buy the bottle? You wouldn't buy the bottle because you'd say, well, I don't use a lot of that. Oh, okay, but now when you're trying to get the fucking thing mixed, whether you're mixing it with a needle or a mixer thing or whatever, and you're trying to get it just right, well, they're charging you money for it. It's fucking stupid. If you're at a color artist and they're fucking mixing all their ink right in front of you and charging you, then you're just getting ripped off. I'm not sure what else to tell you about the inks because I was gonna tell you about other stuff, but yeah, Eternal, amazing to deal with. I'm not saying don't use Fusion because the Fusion colors I do use are spectacular. I just do not like the brand's consistency. Solid ink that I use, the brand's consistency when I buy it is just like Eternal. The only thing is I started with Eternal. Eternal's got a little bit more selection. I guess actually started with solid, but I started with solid, switched to Eternal, and I was using them both. But I would say at least 2/3 to 4/5 of my ink is Eternal. Now, are there other great brands out there? Yeah, like I'm sure there are. I just never tried them because there was never a reason to. If you ever deal with Eternal head on, if you're in the US, definitely if you're in Canada and they have a fucking sale that, you know, you're getting it at 50% off or whatever, because of the border fees and shit, you're still saving a shit ton of money than buying from a Canadian supplier. And they're great to deal with because they used UPS after the fucking COVID shutdown and whatever. And now the law in Canada, for whatever reason, is these shippers don't have to be held responsible. So basically, Eternal was fucking... They'd fuck up the order and either bring it somewhere else or not show up for fucking 3 weeks in the fucking winter. And when I explained it to Eternal, they're like, yeah, man, like there's nothing we can do anymore, but we're just gonna try to get you that ink. And they shipped it out, another one. Like, we're not talking, you know, fucking 8 bottles of ink. Like, we're talking 100 bottles of ink that got frozen because UPS and the fucking border fucked shit up. And Eternal was like, don't worry, we're gonna fucking hook you up. And I'm like, what the fuck? So like, they've got my support for the rest of my life. Like, no matter what, you know? Well, unless they start making shitty inks, which when you're making great stuff, why would you cheap out? So, yeah, so that's it for that. We're gonna get off of this subject and now we're gonna go to Canada versus the U.S. I'm gonna do a little chug on this one. By the way, these Canada-U.S. flags here, I should be switching this one to the bottom one. I only put them up like this because, like, that's how it is, you know, Canada's above the U.S. or whatever. So I was like, oh, geographically. All right. So let's just start with the driving across Canada. Okay, so I've been driving across Canada for a while now. When my brain wasn't doing so well and dealing with a lot of shit, I decided to up and leave. And it's got to go back 15 years or so. Lots of shit happened in my life, and after losing one of my dogs, I grabbed my other dog and I put him in my Jeep and grabbed all my tattoo stuff and everything, and I just drove. I literally didn't even think it out. It was kind of fucked up. It was like a midlife, I don't know, it was a crisis. It was bad. Anyways, I never drove across Canada before. I've driven far, I've never driven across Canada. So I wanted to try it out. And the first night I ended up in Thunder Bay, me and my dog sitting in a hotel room. I'm getting drunk, and I realized, like, oh my God, man, this hotel room's cost me $300 and something. Like, I'm not working for the next 3 or 4 weeks. I'm not in a good headspace. All my customers respected it and said, yo, man, you know, you need to rebook. You take some time. We know all this shit that happened to you. And so I just posted, you know, like, anybody got any places to stay? I decided I wanted to drive across Canada, and a couple people wrote me. So I ended up driving out to BC. Then from BC, I drove up to Fort McMurray. From Fort McMurray, I drove to Edmonton. Edmonton, I was like, okay, I better shut this trip down and go home, because even though I had some places to stay, it was running me up. And driving across Canada, at that time, I thought it was beautiful. Is Canada beautiful? Yes. Like in BC, if you ever get to drive in BC, you're gonna feel humbled, like spiritual. There's no other way to describe it. When you drive through the mountains, it's It's the closest thing that you'll ever feel to God. If there is a God, I think there is. But even during that time, I didn't really believe in that. But I felt something. It was fucking crazy. The only other place I drove in Canada that is kind of the same is in between the Sioux all the way up to like Dryden in Ontario. So because it's mountainous, but it's nothing compared to BC. It's nothing. Now, when you're driving across the prairies and stuff, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, it's so horrible." It's like you pick a fucking spot that you can see, and you gotta count like fucking 3 to 5 hours before you actually get to it. But like, it's humbling. It's like the smell, everything. It was great, you know. It's like you see trains, you see wheat, you see these little towns. If you get off the split highway and everything, like I enjoyed it. I thoroughly did. But there's parts when you're driving through places like Regina, when you're driving through places like Saskatchewan, when you're driving through places like Winnipeg, there's areas of road that are just so fucking brutal. It reminds me of being in Sudbury, Ontario. Like, I left Sudbury because of a lot of reasons. And I always bitched and said, you know, fucking worst roads. And there's been worst roads lists compiled for Canada, and Sudbury's always on it. Always on it. And I'm here in northern Alberta, northeastern Alberta, in the Lakeland area, and a lot of people here complain about the roads here. Like, I mean, all the time. They got a couple rant and raves and all that shit. And I'm telling you right now, these roads are immaculate. They are hands down amazing, okay? So, anyways, we got this road work. I decide to drive across the U.S. I cross the border. I gas up the first time, and I fucking asked the person, you know, like, how are the roads? Have you ever driven across Canada? Well, the guy at the first hotel I stayed at, okay, beautiful hotel. It was about $70 less than Canadian, and that's Western. Because when you get towards Eastern, like more towards Ontario, so we're talking like fucking Michigan or whatever, Northern Michigan, I'm not sure about the other part, we're talking crossing the border. As soon as you cross the border, you're saving like $100 a night on a hotel, Canadian, minimum. Absolutely minimum. Because in order to drive across up to Alberta, going up towards Nipigon and then into Winnipeg or whatever, they rape you on hotels. Like, we're talking a standard, regular, shitty fucking room is about $200. In Sudbury right now, they charge a hotel fucking tax. So you got your GST, or your GST and your PST, and now you're fucking out of fucking town fucking tourism tax. Like staying in fucking Sudbury is such a fucking beautiful fucking thing that, oh yeah, I don't mind paying a tourist tax. They fucking rape you everywhere you fucking go. So when you drive through the States, minimum you're saving per night is $75 compared to Ontario and Northern Ontario, okay? We're not talking about Winnipeg. Winnipeg is just as bad as Ontario when you're on the main highway. When you go off, like when it's like fucking 2 in the fucking morning and you can't fucking find a place because whatever's in town, so you got to drive an hour and a half out of your way. Then you get a hotel room around $150 to $200 a night on a Friday, Saturday, or whatever. But honestly, it's fucked. As soon as you get to Saskatchewan and Alberta, it's normal. It's mind blowing that driving in Winnipeg especially, man, it's not even pretty. But our fucking it's fucked. Anyways, you're there. Ontario, Northern Ontario is horrible. Now let's talk about gas. Let's talk about driving across the country with gas. So the first couple times I've done it, I went up north, and we're talking a gas station every 2 to 3 hours between fucking Sault Ste. Marie to Nipigon. And then after that, you have like hour and a halfers there. And then when you go to gas up, it's anywhere like Sudbury's brutal on gas. It's like $1.50 to $1. Like I'm not saying it is right now. I don't know what it is right now. I'm pretty sure it's what I was just saying. But whatever Sudbury is, you go up north and it's normally 30 to 50 cents more per liter. Okay, so I can't really do all the fucking math right now. It's a very complicated thing to do for anybody from the U.S. that's watching. But when I drive across the U.S., so I never gas up when I'm in Ontario. And when I do, I gas up so that I know that when I cross the border in Michigan, I think it's about 10 kilometers away. You go on the right, and there's like I want to say it's called a Meijer. It's like a grocery store with a gas station or whatever. It's open 24 hours. But just to let you know, so whatever the gas is in the States, like per gallon to liters, in Sault Ste. Marie, when I got there, it was, I believe, $1.59 a liter. I crossed 10 kilometers, drove 10 kilometers. I think it's max 10 kilometers. It might have been under. And it was $1.09. $1.09 when you do the conversion. I pay on my credit card, so it automatically does it. I do all the math when I'm there, and I keep a record in my phone. Like I'm meticulous with that because I want to know how much money I'm saving. So literally, to drive from Sturgeon Falls, Ontario, Canada, I had enough gas in my tank to get me across the border, and I filled up like the night before because I wanted to make sure. I think I drove like once or twice, maybe 50 kilometers. But I drove in the fucking dead of winter through a little bit of a snowstorm all the way across to North Dakota and then up into Canada and then all the way to Bonnyville. So it's 3,000, it's about, like, I gotta round it up. I think it's like 1,190 or something, but like, let's just call it, or not 1,000, 3,000. So like, you just call it 3,200, okay? 3,200 kilometers. With my hotel, it cost me 475 Canadian dollars. That's it. Now, I just bought a hybrid, but apparently it doesn't work well in the winter, but it's still getting more gas mileage than ever. Because when I drove my RV out west, thinking, okay, I'm gonna save on hotels and everything. Yeah, okay, whatever. $1,280 one way. One fucking way, man. Then I try to drive my Jeep, and my Jeep Standard, and I know how to drive Standard. I get 600 kilometers out of a tank. 600 Ks, man, out of one fucking tank, just simply because I know how to drive Standard. Which is another thing that Canada's brutal for. They're fucking outlawing fucking standard vehicles. Most fucking trucking companies now, they will not let like a Kenmore truck, or is it Kenworth? Whatever, fucking Mack trucks, all this. They're limiting the production of them for the environment. Yet, if you have a seasoned driver that knows how to drive a vehicle, then when you drive a vehicle, you can get an extra 100 to 200 kilometers out of driving a standard vehicle. But Canada made a fucking law against that. I'm not making this shit up, man. Google this shit. It's fucking bizarre, man. It's so fucked up. Because this is a Canada versus U.S. thing, okay? Anyways, any fucking ways. Oh, I get so fucking mad when I fucking have to fucking talk about this shit. But, like, I need to get it out there. So anyhow, my Jeep even cost me $600 one way. That's without the hotels. Like, without paying for the hotel. Which is fucking crazy, man. Like, it blows my fucking mind that, like, after I drove there for the first, okay. I was talking about the bad roads in Canada. So now, take all of that money that I just talked about, all of that, okay? Now, when I stopped in at the first fucking hotel or whatever, and I asked the person, I'm like, well, have you ever driven across the United States, like this way, in the north? I want to say it's Highway 2, and then Highway 2 splits off to something. So anyways, the guy's like, yeah, man, it's a long ride, and there's some rough roads. And I was like, oh, fuck. So now I'm thinking, should I drive, I think it's about an hour and a half, on a diagonal down to Interstate 90? Because you know their interstates are fucking prime. And I was like, no, I want to fucking drive it where you're driving through all these small towns, you know? Not only is the gas cheap, not only is the fucking hotels cheap, but I believe that the only place that goes more than, say, maybe 80 kilometers, maybe, between a gas station is right after I fill up at, like, when I cross the border. Now, I gotta take an off ramp onto, there's like 3 or 4 different highways before I get to Highway 2. And now, even with that, like, I think 80 is me, like, over compensating for it. You know what I mean? Like, trying to be like Canada can't be that bad. But, like, there's some small stations, you know, where they might charge you 10 cents per gallon. Now, 1 gallon is 3.79 liters, okay? So they're charging you 10 American cents. So, like, let's just call it 13 American cents per liter more on $1.09 to $1.10 a liter. And I'm legit, like, just being stingy as fuck, like, pinching pennies, like, I'm not Jewish or shit. It's just fucking, like, oh, here we go, getting all offensive or whatever. But it's like, it's not offensive. It's just they're frugal with money, and now I am too. Like, it's just what it is, man. And I realized the value of a dollar since I fucking lost my business. Guess what? Because of Canada. I lost everything. That's why I'm out here. It's the only fucking place that has only 5% tax. Like, Alberta's the shit. Canada is a fucking cesspool. They've convinced people online. They've legit taken the, remember when they fucked us all with COVID, okay? So that's when I lost everything. They fuck us with COVID, but they didn't just fuck us with COVID. They made people's families all hate each other. They've made a divide between you know, people. The goddamn dating community is divided. Literally, like, online, are you vaccinated or unvaccinated on your goddamn profile? And nobody's questioning if you're like, oh, are you unvaccinated? Well, yeah, it's like when somebody says I'm unvaccinated, I'm not like, oh man, you're unvaccinated with fucking polio and fucking measles. Like, of course, everybody's fucking vaccinated for that. It was tried, it was tested, it was fucking, it was proven. Now, there's a lot of people that think that it wasn't. And honest to God, I don't know, because the government's been fucking lying to us the whole fucking time. But guess what? Canada's way worse. You got Trump in there fucking making a 25% tariff. And I've shared so many fucking times, we've been paying tariffs for goddamn years. And how the fuck people don't know it when you could Google it. And I know Google hides shit. I know that. I know when you try to Google a cure for cancer, cure for diabetes, nothing fucking pops up. It's just, oh, this is working on it. This is working on it. There's a cure. There's a fucking cure, man. Like, people need to start following people who think outside the box. And there's a goddamn cure for almost everything in life. But if you're too stupid to fucking think or know that the fucking world is trying to hold you down, especially a communist motherfucking country like Canada, like this fucking shit, then you're fucked. Like, that's mine. That's the scapegoat. But Canada's brutal, man. Canada's just brutal. It's legit. Like, I fucking loved growing up here. I loved it. All it is the people who are buying into this Trump shit are the people, there's people who are buying into it that supported the trucker convoy. The trucker convoy was fucking awesome. Even though I think a lot of it was more or less on, how do you say that? Almost like spies, I get, like the liberals basically infiltrated it and shared all this shit. So they knew, like, there was not going to be any actual riots. There wasn't going to be anything else. And then that's when they started arresting people. It was fucking disgusting, man. It was fucking disgusting. This is communism. We live in a communist country. And then you watch things like the hockey game where all of our fucking people, like, and when I tell you about Canada, and maybe some of you guys will hate me for this, I'm not speaking about Montreal, because fuck Quebec, man. Quebec can fucking split up anytime they fucking want, and I couldn't give a shit. I actually want Alberta to split up and become the 51st state. Like, and the only reason I want that to happen is the fucking fact that Canada has gone so fucking far to the communist side that they've got normal fucking people that I thought were smart and thinkers, like fucking people who had a fucking brain that can fucking tell what's going on. They're fucking booing and they're the ones sharing off fucking Trump this and Trump that, da 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 da. We've been paying fucking tariffs. Tariffs tax your own people, okay? Stop saying tariff. Start saying taxing your own. We've been taxing our own for years and years and years and years and years. The United States has not been taxing their own for years and years and years and years. Trump now wants to tax their own, which, does it hurt fucking Canadian businesses? Yes. Only small Canadian businesses. It does not affect the major ones. It will never affect the major ones. Ever. Ever. The effect of the major businesses will only be passed on to the people in the United States. That's it. That's fucking it. I'm a fucking drunk tattoo guy, and I fucking understand this. But this is how fucking dumb these people have become here. They're so fucking brainwashed with this shit. Now, Trudeau, the communist fucking leader of this country who has sunk it into shit, who is introducing a fucking another carbon tax fucking thing in fucking April, but everybody's all like, well, I'm only buying Canadian. You ever fucking think? Just use your fucking head and think for one fucking second, okay? Just one fucking second. Why is our ketchup, so all these fucking ketchup fucking things are emptying out. It's like, look at us, man, we're supporting Canada. Fucking Heinz. Look at all the Heinz on the shelf. That's what I seen today on one of these fucking things. Like, let's go Canada. All Heinz on the Walmart shelf. All the fucking Frenches are gone. All the fucking Frenches. Fucking sold out. You can't get a bottle of Frenches. So, these fucking brainwashed fucking retards that are on fucking line thinking, oh, Canada this, Canada that. They're like, well, you know what? I'll spend the extra gas and pay the extra tax on the gas to drive from fucking grocery store to grocery store to grocery store in order to get a bottle of fucking Frenches, okay? Fucking idiots. Frenches might be Canadian, but they're buying ingredients from overseas. They're buying ingredients from everything. They ain't fucking creating every fucking spice that's in there on their own. You fucking dumbasses. That's number one. Number 11. Anyways, number one, that's number one. Number two. The fucking tax and the tariffs that are installed on Heinz comes over here, okay? So you go to buy Heinz from a grocery store, and let's just say it's even. Let's just call a bottle of ketchup. I don't even know anymore because shit's out of control. Like, I think $5 is horrible, but we're just gonna call it $5. So you got a bottle of French's for $5. You got a bottle of Heinz for $5, okay? How in the fuck is Heinz able to sell a bottle of ketchup here for $5 fucking dollars, the same as French's, which is made here, which is shipped here, which is like employing people from here? How is this bottle $5 fucking dollars at the grocery store? How is that? When in order to get it into this country, they're paying retarded amounts of fucking tariffs already to get it into Canada, okay? So I'm not sure, I didn't look it up, but I shared a video of some of the tariffs that Canada installs or imposes on the U.S., and some of them are like 200, 300, 400%. Like, do you not understand? So let's just say our minimum duty in Canada, and a duty is a tariff. Our minimum is 16%, okay? So let's just say that the minimum was charged to get that bottle of fucking stuff, of ketchup into Canada is 16 cents. So that means that they produced it, they shipped it all the way to the States, and now it's $5. So 5 times 16, that's what, 50, 80 cents, okay? So now you got 80 cents. So technically, this bottle of ketchup is $4.20 Canadian that was produced and shipped into Canada with the minimum, absolute minimum amount of tariffs that have been charged to us for over a decade or more. I didn't even look that number up because I'm so fucking pissed off about how people are this dumb. So that bottle, Canadian, is $4.20. Now they add the 80 cents to break even, and they're making a profit. But our Canadian company that was shipped within the Canadian border and produced within Canada and everything else is 80 cents fucking more than what this is. Okay? If you do not fucking see how fucking stupid you are from that easy explanation, then there's no fucking hope for this place. And that's why I think 51st state, man. 50 fucking first state. Like, at least the fucking smart people up here that realize the benefit of being with the states, the only one thing, I keep doing one, but the only one thing that I don't like about the 51st state thing is, first of all, it should be 63 states. You know, you'd have to have a governor or I don't know what they call them down in the States, but basically our premiers, you'd have to have one in each fucking province. The only fucking thing I don't like about it is the fact that it's one step closer to a new world order, one government. Because then if we join them and the states decided, but I mean, look what we are, man. We're Chinese run. Nothing. No matter how much criminal shit Trudeau does, no matter how much, he'll never be arrested, ever. Nothing will ever happen to him. It will take, before Trudeau got in, there's goddamn research papers online. Even if we were to buckle down, even if Canada was to turn around with Pierre Poilievre, it will take 3 generations to get us back to where Harper was. And not only will it take 3 generations of working hard and actually good investments and everything else to get us back to there, we still weren't like out of the hole there. Like, we're fucked. We're fucking fucked. And if you don't like it, turn me off, don't fucking follow me. I don't give a shit. Like, this is my show. I don't have followers. So, anyways, there's going to be a lot more Canada versus the U.S. in the future, but I'm coming up on an hour right now, and I want to try to keep my shows within that. I think I've went over by like 20 minutes or half an hour, the other ones. But yeah, feel free to leave your comments and your hate or whatever. If there's any questions on the tattoo stuff, like I said, I don't care who you are, where you're from. If you got a question and I can answer it, I'll help you out. I hate this industry with a passion now. It was guarded before, and now it's just idiots spreading information where, you know, like, let's become a fine line tattoo artist. I want to make a shirt that says, like, fine line is for fairies or something, you know? Like, just fucking, like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, stop being a tattoo artist. Even when I started tattooing, it wasn't until about I want to say the 2 or the 3 year mark that I realized, like, oh my God, I might actually be a good tattoo artist at some point, because I didn't grow up in a place where I was like, oh, well, you could do fine line, just keep doing that. Well, guess what? I was doing fine line with a fucking pin in India ink out of my goddamn garage on people. Like, for a case of fucking beer when I was like 19 fucking years old. Didn't even consider tattooing until it was my parents. They were like, well, all these fucking dumbasses are lining up and paying you a case of beer to do fucking pin and Indian ink fucking tattoos. And why don't you buy real equipment? And it was like, oh, I guess so. But yeah, now it's like, oh, I learned how to fucking do something, and you know what I mean? This is better work than, it's like, anybody paying a fucking fine line artist more than fucking $15 an hour, well, you're part of the reason that this whole fucking industry is falling apart. So, whatever. Anyways, I didn't even make it through half of this drink, man. But hey, I love you all. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Ranting and raving and blaming and branding. So I'm going to be getting my own gym cups because I'm starting my own fucking gym clothing line. If you guys can, follow at Society Scapegoat on, or wait, I switched it. It's at DP, oh fuck, I don't know. Just type in fucking society scapegoat into a fucking search engine on fucking Instagram. That's the only thing I use on there. I think there's a Facebook, but I don't man it. But yeah, man, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna go and probably drink the rest of some water and might have a fire or go to bed. One or the other. I got a steak waiting for me. Anyways, Bumbu, if you ever want to sponsor me, man. It's like, you ever want to get fucked up like this motherfucker and talk some shit? Bumbu. Alright, I'm out.